Hello fellow orchid lovers, it's Danielle here with a culture video on my Cattleyas. So I just wanted to kind of get this video in really quick before we tore this room apart. I've been living with plywood floors in here for a while. The flooring is just sitting there waiting to be installed, but we've had so many other projects in the house that are more important that we've kind of been putting this off. And as you can see, it's a fair amount of stuff that we have to do to get the room ready to be spackle painted and put the new flooring in. So kind of been putting it off for more important things, but we're going to be trying to do that this weekend. So I just wanted to squeak in another quick video about my culture, the way that I grow in water for you guys, because it probably is going to be a couple of days before I can film another one. So my Cattleyas, I'm going to share, how I grow them, how Cattleyas are typically grown in water culture. I don't grow that way, but a lot of people do with success. And also at the end, I'm going to give you an update on my Cattleyas because I haven't shown you these probably in about a year. So if you aren't interested in the update, you can just tune out at the end of the video. So when I first started growing Cattleyas in water culture, I was doing this semi-water culture. And if you're not familiar with what that is, semi-water culture means that the orchid's roots are exposed to water only a few days out of the week. So most people do 2 days wet and then 5 days dry. Some people do 3 days wet, 4 days dry, but it's a combination of wet days and dry days. Cattleyas do prefer not to have soggy roots all the time. So the dry days are very important to a Cattleya. So when I first started doing that, they did fantastic. The root growth was insane. They were happy, blah, blah, blah. I was very excited. Look at my Cattleyas. This is awesome. And then life got in the way. And, my life on Long Island was a lot more busy than it is here upstate New York. A lot more going on. I was always busy. There was a lot of stress. And so I didn't take care of my Cattleyas the way that they were supposed to. So my semi-water culture was not really semi-water culture. It was, oops, I forgot to drain my orchids. They've been sitting in water for a week and a half now. Or, oops, I forgot to water my Cattleyas. They've been dry for a week and a half now. So they suffered a fair amount. And I lost some of them because of it. And, it's very frustrating for me, but I just really didn't have the time to take care of them the way they were supposed to. And so, until recently, I really didn't buy any more, and I just tried to keep what I had alive. So now what I'm doing with them is not semi-water culture, it's semi-hydro, which is not even really semi-hydro. It's my version of semi-hydro. But semi-hydro is technically water culture. Water culture is just growing hydroponically. Hydroponically is in water, so semi-hydroponically is water culture. Yeah, so anyways, my version of semi-hydro is I don't use the Leca and the Ceramis that people typically use. People typically use the Leca and the Ceramis, and that's fine, that's great. It actually provides an extra source of wicking moisture. So semi-hydro is when you have a container, a vase, a glass, whatever it is, and there's holes towards the bottom that create a reservoir of water, but it doesn't allow the water to fill all the way up in the glass. It drains off out of those holes. So that's, in that sense, I am similar. So for instance, I'll show you if I can. This particular, I have two cups. So the inside cup has the holes and the outside cup doesn't. So the way that I do my semi-hydro is once a week, I put the water all the way up to the top and I let it sit like that for a half an hour to get the roots nice and green. Then I take the cup, this inside cup out of this outside cup and drain the water off out of these holes and then leave the reservoir. And then I do it again next week. So basically there's always water in the bottom of the cup, and then this part of it drains off and dries out for the week. So there's always a source of moisture and humidity, but their roots are not sitting in water. Now, some of them, they do grow their roots down into the reservoir. That's their choice. They can do that if they'd like, but I start them off with none of their roots in the reservoir. So like, for instance, when I potted this orchid up, I made sure that I started the reservoir right below where her bottom of her roots were. Now, she's probably going to grow her roots down into that water, and that's fine. When the orchid makes the choice to put her roots in the water, she usually knows what she's doing. But most of the root system is going to be in, you know, this very airy glass pebble. And so far, so good. I mean, the root growth on these orchids is really, really good. And I actually just recently changed them to these clear cups because I had them in the red solo cups, which is the only thing I had when we first moved up here. And it was working, but I couldn't see the roots, and that was driving me crazy. So I purchased these plastic cups, and that's how I'm doing it now. So I do know that a lot of people grow semi-water culture, not semi-hydro, but semi-water culture, which is the wet days and dry days, and they have fantastic results with their Cattleyas. So if you want to try that, if you are more disciplined than me, and you're going to be really good, and you're going to make sure that you're giving them the correct mixture for your environment. You know, if you have a very dry environment, you may need to do the 3 days, or if you have a very humid environment, you may need to just do the 2 days of giving them water. Definitely, you know, give that a try. Like I said, so many people that I see trying it, their orchids just love it. So, but I know myself, and I know that I will forget to drain them, or I will forget to water them, and then we'll be right back to my poor Cattleyas. So I just want to update you on some of my Cattleyas. Like I said, it's been at least a year, I think. Sorry, cup of coffee, need it. It's been at least a year since I've shown you my plants, and that's because I was so ashamed of how badly they were doing. And it wasn't, and I didn't want to show you because it wasn't the water culture failing, it was me failing. Like, I was failing my plants, and I knew I was, but my life was so hectic and ridiculous that I couldn't even fix it. So anyways, we'll begin at the beginning. I did get a few of them to bloom for me. I'm hoping now that I'm doing this method and they're getting much better light, I'm going to get some blooms. So we'll see. This is my only bag baby. Got this from Lowe's. This is an LC Final Blue flower. So I guess we know what color the flower is supposed to be. She's always done really well for me, but she hasn't bloomed for me. I know she can. I know she's blooming size because when I got her, this right here, this is an old flower spike. She's grown 2 canes and 1 new growth in my care, and a ton of roots. I mean, ton of roots. So she grew this little cane when I first got her. And then she grew this, no, it's a pseudobulb. It's not a cane. Cattleyas are pseudobulbs. Canes are dendrobiums. I'm sorry. It's early in the morning. And I'm drinking my first cup of coffee as I'm filming this because I really wanted to get this video in before we start taking stuff out of the room. This is the cane pseudobulb she grew for me last year. It did get a sheath, but nothing happened. And now she's got this beautiful new growth coming. And this new growth has grown so fast. Like within a couple weeks, boom, there she was. Her roots, as you can see, chunky, beautiful new roots down there. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping that maybe she'll bloom for me. I don't know. We'll see. So that's her. This one has bloomed for me. This one is RLC Miko Arakai Volcano Queen. And this one I got from Carmela's Orchids. I did one of their specials. They do like the big boxes where they pick the orchids and then they send them to you. So I did a Cattleya box. So several of my orchids are from them. Several of my Cattleya orchids are from them. And the plants were great. I really highly recommend Carmela orchids, actually. So this one bloomed for me on this pseudobulb here. So as you can see, she desiccated pretty badly. Yeah, I really wasn't keeping up with watering them and keeping them happy. She's the only one that has maintained a root system, but she's still desiccated pretty badly. Her leaves are still, you can feel that they went through something. This was what she grew for me last year. It did get a sheath. Nothing happened. This is her newest growth, as you can see. It's not as tall as the last year's growth, but the sheath looks a lot more promising, and it has happy sap all over it. So I'm hoping, she's getting such good light now, and she's getting watered regularly and actually cared for, so I'm really hoping she's gonna bloom. I don't even really remember what the blooms looked like, but I do know that they were fragrant. So I really hope that she blooms for me. She's doing really good with her roots. As you can see, she's got some new roots there. She has some nice long roots that are all the way down in the bottom in the reservoir. But I tried to make the reservoir as small as possible on her because her roots were so long. So we'll see what those roots do. If I have to put her in a bigger cup, I will. This one has also bloomed for me, and I do remember this bloom. This is my Cattleya Starlin Yellow Flare. She has a pink bloom with a yellow lip. It's very striking, very pretty. I don't remember it being fragrant though. So that part will be a surprise if she decides to bloom for me. She's grown a couple of new growths in my care, but none of them developed sheaths or anything like that. She came to me a little bit on the dry side, like a little bit desiccated. Her older leaves were a little pitted, like they had been through something, and her root system wasn't fantastic. So she ended up actually being 2 plants, and I kind of need to stake her, I think. She's kind of flopping over, so I'll do that after this video. But she has 2 directions of growth because she is 2 plants. And as far as the root growth is concerned, she has a fair amount of it. The new growths don't have any roots yet, but these, as you can see, are all branching off of old roots. And that's the thing about Cattleyas, you don't really want to cut off roots because the old roots can branch. I've had old roots on a Cattleya that I thought were like rotting, and they branched in the spring. So just a little word of advice, but you can see she's bloomed for me before. I hope she does again. Sorry, desperately need coffee this morning. It's been quite a week. I picked up extra hours for the hospital because someone else was out on vacation, and the amount of work that I accomplished in the last 4 days, I had a migraine. Like, it kicked my butt. So I'm tired. I need coffee. So this is one of my new orchids. This is an Awanagara, and I think they redesignated that. I don't think it's called Awanagara anymore. But for what it's worth, the tag says Awanagara, and then you probably can't see this, but I remember what it says. It's Ching Sun Bright Star Happy Hours. Nice long name. So my last Awanagara, I had the Awanagara Apple Blossom because I loved that flower. It's very much in my wheelhouse as far as the type of blooms that I like. But she was never a vigorous plant. Her root system was really, really bad. It wasn't even like, they were dead. The roots were dead. It was terrible. And yeah, so she died. Basically what happened with her is some Awanagaras, they grow really, really slow, and she was one of them, and she couldn't produce roots in time to save herself. So she desiccated so quickly, and the new growth wasn't putting out new roots, and the mother plant died, and then the new growth wasn't large enough, and it just didn't work. So anyways, I'm gonna try again. This one is slightly different. The last Awanagara I had, the leaves were more like oncidium leaves. They were very delicate and dainty and thin. This one is a little more fleshy. So I'm thinking it's probably a little bit more hardy, I'm hoping. So we'll see. She has a new growth coming here that she had when I got her. It was a little smaller. I've only had her a week, so she has had some growth. The root system I'm not thrilled with. It looks dead, quite frankly, but like I said, old roots can branch. And so I'm just leaving them for now. I just watered her yesterday, actually last night. So they're still very, very damp. So I'm leaving it for now. I'm going to see what happens. She does have some greener roots towards the top. And then we'll see what the new growth does. But if those roots stay soggy, that's a sign that they are rotting. So I might pull her back out and take care of that because I don't want rotting material in my cup. This is my other new one. This is a Cattleya anceps, which I've wanted a Cattleya anceps for a really long time. And then this is the variation Rustic Canyon. So I actually would like, if any of you has a Cattleya anceps, I would like a little advice as far as the light is concerned. I'm under the understanding that they like a lot of light, but I want to make sure that that's true before I give her my bright light, because I really want this one to be happy. It doesn't look like she's ever bloomed, but she is a division, definitely a division off of another plant. I could see where they cut her off of another plant. So that's kind of like starting fresh. They sell it to you as blooming size, but it's really not. The main plant was, but the division isn't. So I'm not expecting fantastic and great things from her right away, but I want to make sure I'm giving her the right light so that I can eventually expect fantastic things from her. She does have a new growth here. As you can see, it's fairly advanced, and no new roots. So I'm assuming the roots come after the new growth matures. The pseudobulbs are quite interesting, very bulky for a Cattleya. And yeah, so I'm just gonna, watch her. I haven't put her in my brightest light yet because I'm not really sure. Her roots, again, are not fantastic, but they're not as bad as the Awanagara. So we'll see. Yeah, so that's my Cattleya anceps. If you guys know what kind of light that they like, definitely comment. So this is my oldest orchid, my oldest Cattleya orchid. It's the only one that's left from my original collection of Cattleyas. And I had a fair amount of them. I killed them all. This is BLC Gladys Ome. And I don't remember if this is the red one or the yellow one. She's never bloomed for me. She's supposed to be fragrant, so there's that to look forward to if I can keep her alive. She's gotten several new growths, but she does not like strong light at all. And it took me a while to figure that out. I just didn't understand why she wasn't happy, and it was because I was singeing the poor thing. And her root system's not great right now. Her last new growth was small because I broke the one before it. So this one came out and I snapped the top of it off. So then her next new growth was a little flimsy. So I'm hoping, I don't know. I don't know if I should cut the rhizome further back and see if I can get a new direction of growth. But honestly, these pseudobulbs are so desiccated that I don't know if they're going to have the strength to push on. So I may have killed this plant. I don't know. We'll see. Jury's still out, but the root system, we are getting a little eye moving there. Oh, I can't get this to stay still. You see at the base of that pseudobulb, there's movement on that eye. And then back there's some new roots coming. So I'm really hoping that I can save her, just so I can say I did keep one of my Cattleyas from the original collection alive. But we'll have to see for her. She's not doing so good. This one's doing really good. And this is another one that I got from Carmela's Orchids. And honestly, at first, it did nothing. It came with these 3 pseudobulbs, I think. It was these 2 pseudobulbs and a new growth. The new growth stalled and did nothing for a very long time. This is LC Ballet Folklorico Eloquence. So she had these 2 pseudobulbs, and then this one was a new growth that stalled and then finally grew. As you can see, I found out she doesn't like strong light either. But now she finally decided to push a new growth. When I put her in semi-hydro, she started to push out this new growth here, which is fairly healthy and chunky and looks good. Has some new roots coming. So she seems like she's turning, she seems like she's turning a corner. So we'll see how she does. I don't see any signs of a sheath in there, but I'm not really surprised considering she took like 2 years to finally give me a new growth. So I don't think I'm going to see flowers on this orchid for quite a while, but that's okay. And then down here we have a few more. I included my Brasso Cattleyas in this update, even though they're new, because I consider them to grow. I'm growing them like my Cattleyas. So another sip of coffee really quick. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start with the bad news. So this is another one that I got from Carmela's Orchids. Very vigorous plant, always very vigorous. This is another Volcano Queen. Oh dear. This is RLC Akiko Sato Volcano Queen. And she's grown growth after growth, but never bloomed for me. But as you can see, the pseudobulbs, nice big pseudobulbs, you know, they never desiccated. They were always nice and chunky, really good. Even when I was not treating my orchids very well, she was fine. She was just fine, but she never bloomed. And now she put out this new growth, and what did I do? I caught it in the window. So that's fantastic. So I don't know what this is going to do to this. If she's just going to push on and eventually this top part will fall off, or if it's going to make her abort the new growth. I'm trying to be super gentle with her to encourage her to finish that new growth. But I'm really mad at myself. And the funny thing is, you know, the window was open in here because I was trying desperately to get some of this heat out of this room, because it was getting really, really hot in here, and my Phalaenopsis blooms were starting to drop. And so I opened the window on one of our cooler days, and it was time to, you know, go to sleep. We were going to be getting rain that night, and I didn't want the rain to come in the window. So my husband was going to close the window, and I said, no, I'll close the window, because if I hurt one of my new growths, then it's my fault, not your fault. And then what did I do? I did that. So it's my fault. But anyways, she's got really good roots. I just watered her, and a lot of them are dry already, so she might need to be watered in a couple of days, sooner than the other ones. And that's the thing, you know, like, you got to watch your plants. If this one needs to be watered more frequently, you got to give her what she needs. And that might honestly be the problem with her. I just might not be watering her frequently enough to get her to bloom. Can't treat her like the rest of them just because she's a Cattleya. She just might be more thirsty. She does have a very extensive root system. This one has never bloomed for me either, although she puts up a new growth faithfully every couple months. She came with these 2 pseudobulbs, I think. This is Ports of Paradise Emerald Isle. So can you guess what color the bloom is? Got it, it's green. So she grew these 2, she had these 2 pseudobulbs. She grew 3 pseudobulbs in my care, and now she's working on another one. You can see she's got a lot. Well, that's awesome. Well, she's definitely not going to bloom if I do that to her. All right. So this is my second time trying to film this video. I'm not doing it a third time, so we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. You guys didn't see anything, right? Okay, good. So she's got really nice new growth there, some new roots there. So she's doing really good. Okay, moving on. Let's see. This one is my Fire Wings Pegasus. So this one I've had almost as long as that one. I got this one probably a couple months afterwards. She has bloomed for me several times, but She was a much bigger plant when I got her. She just went downhill, and she wasn't doing good. And so a lot of her pseudobulbs desiccated, the roots were gone. So I kind of just trimmed her up to be a smaller plant and just hope for the best. She has put out some new growths since then. Nothing nearly as vigorous as her original pseudobulbs that she had. But, you know, I kind of reset her a little bit because I chopped her up. But that's fine. I intended to do that. I wanted to reset her. So I trimmed her up. I got rid of some old stuff. She's now growing this new growth here. So hopefully, you know, because she's a smaller plant, I have reset her and she might be able to start growing larger structures. So we'll see. This one over here, I have gotten her to bloom as well. This is BLC Mary's Glory H&R. A really cute bloom on this one. And I didn't think I was going to get her to bloom because out of all the orchids I got from Carmela's, she was in pretty crappy shape. Half of her was like dead, so that's gone. But she bloomed for me. She bloomed for me twice. So maybe she's just one of those plants that always looks like it's half dead, but it's really not. I don't know. But she did really good. Her latest growth did not bloom, but again, she's another one that I caught in a window. Sensing a pattern here. But she's got a really nice, strong new growth here. She loves light. She's the flimsiest little pseudobulbs, but she loves light, so I have her in really strong light. And then this one is, I've had this one actually as long as the Firewings. I got the Firewings the same time, I think. This is SLC Alyssa Nahemi Compton. So this one has an orange flower. I've never seen it in person because I haven't gotten it to bloom. But it just doesn't really thrive that well. I mean, it does, and then it doesn't. So it like puts out new growths. Everything looks fantastic, and then the new growths just stall. And then they grow, and then they stall, and then they grow. And then they get roots, and the roots look great, and then they stall, and then they grow. Like, it's just a start-stop process with her. So I don't know what's going to make her happy, but she has two directions of growth. The root system isn't fantastic, but it's a root system. She's got one. Let me just see if I could, no. Let's not drop another orchid. Let's put her down. Oh, let's see here. So you can see she's got some new root tips in there. Oh dear. She thought the table was collapsing. She's got some new root tips in there. So that's good. So then the other two are my newer orchids. This is the Brasso Cattleya Maikai that I got. It's a cross between Brassivola nodosa and Cattleya Boringana. And I actually was really excited about this one because of the picture of the bloom. And then the plant came and I was like, holy crap, it's a seedling. And that's the thing, you know, when orchid nurseries say, you know, 2 to 3 or 1 to 2 years off blooming, don't freaking believe them. In their environment, yeah, but not in yours. So yeah, so she's a seedling. So we got a ways to go with her, but she's cute, so we'll keep her. She gets the strongest light I can give her, and she seems to love it. Her roots are doing really well. And then this one is my Brasso Cattleya Greenbird. So I'm really excited about this one. I had Brassivola nodosa, and I really loved the blooms on that, like the heart shape of those blooms. And I couldn't figure out what made her happy. And I realize now what it was. I was messing around with her too much. I was trying to figure out what she liked and not just letting her settle into something. And she died because I annoyed the crap out of her by trying to figure out what she liked. So I wanted to try again. So I got this one, and she seems like a pretty healthy, vigorous plant. I also am doing the semi-hydro with her. She has 3 new growths, which is something that I noticed with my nodosa. They have more than one direction of growth. So she has this growth here. She has this huge growth here. And then she has another growth back there. So she's doing really good. So I know what I'm doing after this video, repotting that poor plant. I mean, really? Really? The one with the new growth that was already broken? That's the one that I had to knock over? Typical Danny. Anyways, I have a few orchids that their blooms are popping open. I can share them with you really quick as well, just to end on a pretty note. It is raining cats and dogs outside, which we really need, but it's making the light not great in here. But this is my little green apples. This is a Latoria. So she just popped open a couple days ago. Love the green and the black on that. Let's see, what else? I also have my twinkle, my red twinkle starting to open. So that's pretty exciting. Those little tiny blooms are so adorable. I'm really excited about that. So she's starting to open. My my new Wilsonara is starting to open. I'm not like completely, so it's not really a good show right now, but it's starting to open. My Phalaenopsis I named after my niece Caitlin is starting to open. So that's nice. And then there was another one that my new Miltoniopsis is opening. And this is the one that's named Rogue after my dog. So that's my update and my culture video on Cattleyas. It was a little long, sorry about that, but we had some unforeseen tragedies happen. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I will, after this weekend's over, hopefully, and the project is over, do the rest of the culture videos for you guys. So, again, have a great weekend, and I will talk to you all next time.